Can you guys at Donald Trump for me? Can you just get his attention? I don't even have a Twitter to do it. I just really need your help. Well, if you leave it to the world to tell it, you look at a person like me, you assume that I've been on the back of prejudice and oppression and racism all my life. When in truth, I've never experienced racism, not even as the daughter of a crack addict. The truth is, I've never encountered racism in my life until I enrolled into the University of the District of Columbia. When you walk into the university, you're made aware of where they stand politically. They've invested lots of money into making sure that our bathrooms are at a place where men can use them with women if they identify as a woman. You know, there's a mural that suggests that, you know, homosexuals experience the same thing that slaves have in the past. And, you know, not to even make this about that, but everything about certain messages like that, I think they're indicators of what kind of environment you're in and where they stand as, you know, politics go. I really want to say I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Why didn't I get to graduate on time? But I know exactly what happened. How can a girl from the hood go back to school, try to get her degree, and you block her from graduating because you don't like her conservative ideas on your campus? Thanks, UDC. I brought conservative ideas onto that campus and my professor was not happy. One of the first assignments I had was an assignment that was as rudimentary as, I don't know, taking your favorite teddy bear or blankie to show and tell. It was a proposal. I was supposed to pick my own topic as the student and spend 3.5 to 4 months researching it. I was supposed to frame my own experiment. I was supposed to research for weeks on weeks, and then I was supposed to take my findings, carry that over to the next semester to really sit down and construct a thesis. I enrolled myself into a class called Methods of Political Science, and it was one of the first classes that you take before senior seminar. It is a research sequence. You take methods before you take senior seminar. And I'd made my mom a promise after she overdosed behind a Burger King that your little girl's going to have a degree one day. I am not going to let your life, your choices dictate mine. I'm going to make something of myself and go back to school. And boy, oh boy. My topic didn't get to see the light of day because I chose a topic which I got inspired by from the internet. I forget where I got the article, but I know I got it from a newspaper. It really inspired me to write a thesis and try to research as much as I can why the African American community is so politically or ideologically diverse. Yet we vote so monolithically in the electorate. It was a win for me. This has been a subject that, just like the article said, it's, you know, this hasn't been touched with a 6-foot pole in academia. And then I'm just like, whew, yeah, that's exactly what I'm going to do for my thesis. And it didn't get to see the light of day. My first assignment, I made a proposal. I introduced my name. I introduced my topic. I introduced or explained why the topic was important to me. And then I went on to talk about how I feel like it could be significant to politics in the future. I failed that assignment. My professor accused me of having a clear agenda. Those were his words. It's obvious you have a clear agenda. And I spent an entire semester being gaslit. I've been through hell with my university, with them treating what happened to me as if I've gotten his comments misconstrued. As far as I'm concerned, I've been through 3 levels of an appeals process where committees have reviewed my work, but every time they settle on a conclusion, they just send me an email to say your F still stands, but they don't go into why. I've taken my appeal to the powers that be at that campus, the chairman, the dean. And I've basically been told that, hey, this is within his academic freedom to grade you how he wants. And also, I feel like you should just pay to take the class over. Oh, hell no! In my experience at the University of the District of Columbia, you cannot think outside of a certain box if you are black. You are told what to think. You are accused of having an agenda. And in my case, because I had an opposing view to my professor, you know, there were certain resources that I wanted to use to support my claims and my position, and my professor was kind enough to bar them from his classroom. I wanted to pull resources from the likes of Thomas Sowell, who happens to be one of my favorite people in the world. I wanted to use Dinesh D'Souza just because as an intellectual, I think he is so sharp. And my teacher said no. He basically said, no, Dinesh, not in my classroom. You pump the brakes, not in my classroom. I can't describe what it's like to be treated as if because you are a certain color, you cannot do something. You cannot think a certain way. How is that not racist to these people? I didn't think in a million years that it would happen to me. Just because, well, for 2 reasons. I'm not 19 years old. When I walk into a classroom, I think I carry with me a maturity that most 19, 20, 21-year-olds just don't have because they're still in a chapter of their life where, generally speaking, they're still trying to figure a lot of things out. And I feel like as a returning student, as a millennial, I walk into a classroom and I have this natural respect that I give to my professor because I know that I'm paying to be there. I'm actually paying you to be here, paying the institution pays you, so in a way, doesn't that make me your boss? And then on top of that, there just has to be a standard where you aren't a racist jerk. I have a lot of questions. I don't know how a university could get away with treating its students this way. The chairman has pretty much told me to F off by telling me that, this professor has academic freedom over you and it's possible that you've misconstrued what he said. The dean has told me that, oh, we're going to let your work pass through committees and then I'll tell you what we find. And each time she said, well, this F still stands. See you next time. Whoever heard of an appeals process where by the end of it, there is no feedback. All you get is a big red F. They completely let me down. I talked to the chief academic officer at my school, and he said, yeah, I'll get back to you by September 15th. Yeah. I'll look into it. Don't you worry. And it's almost November. It's one thing to be treated as if you can't do something for the color of your skin. But treating someone as if you're not allowed to think a certain way is a different monster. Because it feels a lot more intrusive. It feels like you now have jurisdiction over my thoughts. And that's a total and utter mindfuck. I have so many questions Now, about so many things. How can a university get away with doing this? You can accuse a student of having an agenda. You can bar them from using the resources that they need to complete their assignments. You can completely derail their trail of thinking by, I don't know, gaslighting them. And then by the end of it, you can just send a student an article about how Donald Trump is so racist. And yet, you're not politically biased? I've never dealt with anything like that in my life. Anything like that in my life. And I'm pretty sure there are some racist people in life. I have no doubt about the fact that racism exists. It absolutely does. But this form is something viral. I feel it like burrows its way into your ear and then it lays eggs in your brain. This form of racism is so much more intrusive because it's like they're putting shackles on your brain. You're not allowed to think outside of the box that they draw you inside. This doctorate holding professional will accuse me in one sentence. I just feel like, this topic is so vague. Ideological diversity. I mean, what does that even mean? You're not making your subject clear. Oh, and also, I feel that everything to be known about what you're trying to investigate is already known. So maybe you should pick another topic. Pump the brakes. Because if you say that I'm vague and I'm not communicating what my topic is, but then you go on to tell me, oh, by the way, I already know all the answers to what you're trying to investigate, you're kind of sort of saying that you know what my topic is and you just won't allow it in your classroom. I've been giving the University of the District of Columbia the benefit of the doubt that they were not racist, that they could answer for or try to correct, certain things on my transcript which I did not deserve. And I've made no gains. I sound like a Hodge-twin. I have no choice but to ask myself, how do we make political affiliation a protected class? Because I realize that we are at a strange time in life and so much is changing so rapidly, and I feel like this is ideological warfare. So my journey begins, and I'm documenting every bit of it. So this is the part where I had to omit a conversation between myself and a legal representative who contacted me, who delivered some really bad news about how he felt about our chances at taking the University of the District of Columbia on. Basically, he feels like everything is commensurate upon the results of the 2020 election. I needed to go for a ride on the back of that conversation because I feel so stuck right now. Am I feeling optimistic or pessimistic about my case? On the back of the conversation that I've had with legal representation, I don't know where I stand. It's a weird feeling because although I'm not as lost as I was before, when I made my first video, reaching out to you guys, asking for help, and trying to figure out where to start. Now, the challenge is that in 3 weeks, the 2020 election is really going to determine how far my case will even go. Because as it turns out, judges are just as biased as my professor. That's what this country has turned into. It is an ideological war zone. And I'm pessimistic. I don't even think that Donald Trump is going to win the election. I think that there are far too many African Americans who are Marxists and communists. How do I feel about that phone call? That phone call was just one of those phone calls where you just need to drive yourself to the ABC liquor store and stock up, go back home, have some whiskey, regroup, map out your life, because what the hell? It does leave you feeling pessimistic when you get a phone call like that, because I realize by now I'm not going to get the justice that I deserve. I'm not going to get blemishes removed from my transcript. That professor will never be held accountable for what he's done. No one will ever help me at that university hold the chairman, the dean, the chief academic officer responsible, for helping me understand how a professor can get away with those things. So since I'm not going to get the justice that maybe I deserve, I really wanted to do something special. I didn't want to just end there. I wanted to make a national campaign, start it from the ground up, and trying to make as much noise as possible, because I don't feel like universities should get away with this. I thought so many times about quitting, but I want to be a woman of my word to my mom. Even though I feel like she'll understand that the world is so different. I made that promise to her that I'd finish my degree when the world was a very different place. And I also feel like she's looking down on me right now, knowing that, what happened to me wasn't my fault and I did my best. I feel like I've come this far with this degree, and if I quit, that basically just means that I've gone into the amount of debt that I've gone into for no reason. Academic freedom is what they throw around all the time. Academic freedom. But it's like, okay, let's play. Why don't we try to figure out, where does the academic freedom of these professors end and where does ours begin? Coloring my hair is just one of those things that I do, I just do it all the time. I don't know. I just feel like when you start to lose control of things, you look towards things that you can control. Brown is just easier to lift if I ever decide to go blonde again. I'm gonna get 2 of these. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It's just who I am as a person. If I can't control anything in life, I can control going blonde to red to black to brown to ash brown and back to black. I'm not giving myself a hard time about it at all. I think it's fun. I think I deserve to have some fun these days. Here it is. Red onion, chive, yellow pepper, red pepper, apples, garlic is actually going to go in with the pork. And I'm actually going to make some relish today to top the pork loin. I do tomatoes in first. Make sure that all of them are pressed just enough. Yeah. Cooking to me is therapy. If I could sum it up in one word, it's therapy. I think, and plus I'm a fat girl, so I like to eat. Chopping, veggies, herbs, everything's so fragrant and it just touches your nose. And here she is. Just gonna top that relish on top of the pork. So I ended up not doing broccoli. Your string beans are phenomenal. They're just the right amount of soft and crunchy. But this is my pork. I cook this every now and then. I don't usually eat pork that much, but when I have a taste for it, I'll eat it. If you have any question about how to get your bed of rice to look like this, use one of these. It's a measurer. So I always do 1/2 of a cup. You can still see the rice in there. 1/2 a cup, and that actually helps me with my proportioning because I'm trying to do better with my weight. And I let that sit for a few minutes while it's warm, and it kind of sticks together and it makes a beautiful kind of shape to lay on your plate. The pandemic has really helped me kind of figure out how to cook, the best way to cook. I think because being at home for 6 months and not feeling too comfortable going out to eat or trusting handlers with your food, you're restricted to your own devices. And yeah, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I love to cook and I can make some pretty amazing dishes. And that is how you fix pork. But now I don't feel like eating anything, so I'm just probably going to go to bed. Yeah, being impulsive that way and, I don't know, putting all of your energy into something good for yourself and then not even having the energy to eat it, it's just the part and parcel with, I guess, being depressed and struggling with having so much on your mind that, I don't know, you could have a nice hot meal in front of you, but you won't even feel like eating it. If I can't change the world or my circumstances, I can change the way I look. I can change my hair color. No more blonde. Guess I'll keep this in for 20 minutes. One side of my hair is processed a lot faster than the other. Oh, God. This might be a disaster. I don't know. I'll check you guys later. Bye. My hair is super dark. I don't think it's terrible. I was hoping that some of my highlights would take the color differently, but I guess it's okay. I'm not mad at this. It's the next day, and I knew it would look different the next day. But I really do feel like this is darker than what I expected it to be from the box, but you get what you get from box color. It was only like $7 from Walmart, so. My hair came out okay. However, my apartment is not. Apparently, while I was floating around letting my hair take to the color, I knocked up against a few items, walls, doors, sinks, and now I have a door, which is just devastatingly ugly now. Look what I did to my door! I care so much. I care a lot. And I think that's why I suffer the way I do. Right? In interacting with the web this way, I have attracted a lot of attention, and a lot of people have reached out to me to talk to me about a lot of things beyond politics, things including love. Please help. I'm scared to tell my boyfriend I'm conservative. Wow. I'm so happy that there are people like you who encourage others to not be afraid of showing what you truly believe in and not giving a damn about what others say about you. The reason I'm contacting you is because I'm at a point in my life where politics has become so important to me that I'm not scared to let others know that I support Donald Trump. That just because I'm a Latino, I don't deserve to adhere to the Latino norms that if you're not a Democrat, you're automatically a racist and a traitor. My biggest fear is coming out as a conservative to my far left-wing boyfriend. We've only been together for about 6 months now, and we like each other so much that we've already started talking about our plans for the future and what we'd like to see happen if our relationship is meant to be. But I always tell him, only time will tell if our relationship will last, but I'm willing to put in the effort to find out. I've had to pretend that I support Black Lives Matter, that I support all this defund the police business, and about supporting democratic policies in general, for fear that he'll start treating me like all Trump supporters, white supremacists, racists, Nazis, fascists. I even went as far as to take pictures with him with an upside down police flag with a logo that read LGBTQ for defunding the police, because I thought if I didn't do it, he would suspect something of me. He was obviously doing it as a political statement, which got him thousands of likes on social media. But deep down inside me, though, I knew I was being a fucking hypocrite! Exclamation point. Too scared to defend my beliefs for fear of his rejection. And now I have to ask you, Jasmine, if you can give me some sort of advice as to how I can go about this. I love my boyfriend. I want to see what the future holds for him and I, but I'm extremely terrified about coming out to him as a conservative. I'm scared that my future with him will automatically be cut short because of all of this. I'm just so scared. He's even joked around with me that if he himself were to ever become a Republican, that I should leave him, which basically means if I were to do the same, he'd leave me too. What do I do? Thank you for your consideration. I don't know. Love is one of those arenas where I just don't feel very qualified to give advice, but every now and then I do. I did end up replying to him. I put, to love someone is beautiful, but I'm not sure if you believe that you deserve to be loved by someone who knows your values and won't leave you for them. Right now, your partner has shown strong beliefs, and you have loved him enough to demote your own principles. Knowing and suspecting that he would not do this for you truly says something about the reciprocity in your relationship. I have no idea why anyone would think that I'm like the love guru. I've had like 2 boyfriends in my entire life, and in between those times I can be single for 3 years, 6 years, and not even notice anyone. Taking 7 years between each relationship isn't the best thing if you are of reproductive years and you want a child. I absolutely do want children, but I've been very scared. The way I look at relationships isn't quite like the way other people look at relationships, and it's bothered me a lot. I hate to admit it, but it has. I really do kind of feel left behind when I'm in a space in my life where I do want to pursue and I want to see what's out there. I'm so disappointed by the gamut of men I have to choose from. You get back online and get back in the game these days, and you've got people introducing their pronouns, and just they're not very masculine in my opinion. And I think for me specifically, just for me, I'm very, very feminine, and no part of me is trying to discover or attract into my life more femininity. I think I am looking for my opposite. Actually, I don't think. I know for certain. I know for certain I'm looking for my opposite and my masculine. I feel complete as an individual. I have things to work through, but as far as what I'm looking for in a partner, I live in a really progressive place, and most of the men behave in a way where they're very feminine to me. And that sucks because I'm not attracted to that whatsoever. If someone would have told me when I was 18, 19, or 20 that by the time I reached a certain chapter in my life, the men would have pronouns and we'd be transitioning children, and men would also be women if they felt like it, I would have laughed and said, you should write comedy for a living. That's how I start my mornings, really. I get online, I sip from my coffee or my tea, and then I sift through emails from you guys, and often I find bad news. Thank you for submitting your case to FIRE. I have reviewed your submission and have discussed your situation with my colleagues. Unfortunately. Why did I know that there would be an unfortunately? FIRE is one of those organizations which I put a lot of faith in. I think I'd heard of them before recently. I think someone on my Instagram actually pointed me in their direction. They sent me a direct message and they were like, hey Jazz, have you heard of this organization called FIRE? You should check out what they do. They win a lot of cases for people. And I had faith that if anything, someone could kind of give me some guidance. But as it turns out, not really. Whatever I see, unfortunately, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I don't have to read anything else. It's a wrap. Bad news. Unfortunately, always precedes bad news. Bad news. FIRE is unable to offer direct assistance in this matter, as we do not intervene in cases primarily involving academic misconduct. What? I don't think that I was even in the headspace to put myself behind a wheel of a vehicle to drive after that. I just went for a walk. Night walks have really saved my life. Evening walks have saved my life these days. I'm just so hammered by everything. It's like I can't catch a break. I guess I'm just making this to create my journey, to document my journey, because in this life I really wasn't meant to have the classical family unit. I was born into a whole lot of odds. But if I can do something like create a campaign which would help students not ever experience what I had to experience on campus, then that's something I could really put my time and energy into. That's something I can stand behind. And this isn't just for conservatives. It's really for every student, I thought. Who wouldn't want to get behind a campaign which is to hold professors accountable no matter who you are or what ideology you subscribe to? This is for you. Where does the academic freedom of our professors end and where does ours begin? How do we make political affiliation a protected class? Evening walks like this really help me clear my head, you know? Sights are actually really beautiful. It's really crazy how I know these pathways like the back of my hand, right? But during the night, it's like everything takes on a new face. It's like the trees come alive a bit more. This because when I start to lose faith in things, I look over and I see a majestic creature like that. And I was just of the mind to ask myself, where have all the patriots gone? What's going to happen to America? And then you see something so beautiful and majestic. I guess I'll be optimistic and say that that could have been a sign that I should keep going forward. I'll keep cranking out these videos, trying to garner enough attention as I can about what I'm trying to do. I'll probably be at this for another hour or so, trying to get some of this weight off of me. My face looks so fat and disgusting. I look like a potato. What's next for me? Conversations with the Department of Education, legal counsel, to start something that can potentially be so much bigger than me. I wish I had Donald Trump's help. I wish I had his phone number. The biggest academic accomplishment of my life has been blocked because of racism, political bias, all of that. And they get away with it because they're an institution. They are Goliath. But just when I want to quit, certain things are sent to me, certain messages, and somehow this cookie doesn't crumble. I hope you guys check out my campaign. If it means something to you, feel free to support it. In the scheme of things, when you ask yourself where all the patriots have gone, and then America sends you a beautiful, majestic bird like that, it's like a few feet in front of me. And then he flies away.